Well, there's enough clearance there. Here we have the gearbox assembly mocked up. That's NV4500 housing to a Rover drive adapter from Canada. Spare LT230 I had in my parts collection. Completely stripped, empty. As you can see, the base of the NV4500 is nice and narrow, so we don't have any clearance problems with tail shafts. The adapter fits amazing compared to a lot of adapters I've used. It's even been casted around the LT230 front diff lock housing. So I'm quite impressed by it. All the bolt holes just lined up. A lot of them you got to notch out the transfer case and that to actually get the bolts in. So very happy. So that gives me a chance to slot it in there and do the transfer case mounts. More than likely I'll just be using Rover V8 engine mounts as the transfer case mounts. I've used them before, they work quite well and they're extremely cheap if you do break one. But the trick is you just do like a XR6 turbo setup and you just put a piece of seat belt around the outside of them. So yeah, very happy how everything's gone together. Very impressed by how easily everything slots together. With much persistence, a little bit of help, we've managed to get the bell housing back in there. The gearbox and transfer case mocked up. It's all sitting in here as an empty assembly on the jack. I just put the Synchro gearbox's adapter on that converts the front output to a patrol flange, but I found some problems in doing that. One is the protrusion of the nut for the Land Rover setup is too great, so I may have to run a tail shaft spacer to clear that, or get that shaved down, or shave it down, like cut the extra thread off it. Now this is a stock patrol front tail shaft I've set in there, and it's about 50-60 mil too long, but out of curiosity I just wanted to sit in there and see how we went. Whether I end up running the patrol flange or run a D2 flange is another question. So the gearbox mounting situation is something I've been working on off camera, just because I wasn't sure how I was going to do this. So these are the original Defender chassis plates and crossbar that I've cut off, flipped them around, so now the right hand runs on the left hand, whatnot, and then made these plates and this one here to offset and take up the top mount, because the top mount on the NV4500 adapter is a lot taller than what it would be on a Rover transmission. I just added a little brace bar in there just to give it a bit of extra strength, but nothing super fancy, just something I knocked up. Added an extra corner here, so what we're going to do is add another drill hole at the base of each of these, and then this one is just boxed in at the back. Nothing super fancy, but that is what I come up with, and yeah, that's essentially how the original setup is, just obviously with the different style mounts, but this just runs the big round engine mounts and we should be good. this rocked up this morning. Oh, well, I went and picked it up. Thank you to Andrew at Les Richmond for sourcing this for me. This should be a radiator that fits the situation. This is part number ESR 76. It is V8 Defender, many years of V8 Defender. And all going well, if I move everything out of the way, this should just slot in right there. Now you need some way of holding the radiator. That's where these come in. These are Parenti top radiator mounts. The guys at KLR sourced these for me. Huge thank you, because these are pretty hard to find, believe it or not. And they slot in to the original holes on your wing top, just like that. There's a rubber bush that goes in the top. There's one there, and they will make it look pretty mint. Alright, that's how it looks semi-complete. They're just loosely mounted on top. But I am very happy. Intercooler in front. Falcon fans on the back. And from the looks of the offset, stock grill may just fit in here. There it goes, here we go. We have the intercooler mocked up. I can drop it down a fair way, but the piping's got to go out above the headlights, so we're sort of stuck there unless I run the later model headlight assembly that pushes them forwards. But I sort of want to keep these series buckets with the white surround. Sort of like the old school look. I want to keep it as original as possible. So we've set the intercooler in there, and it definitely does fit quite nicely. Across the bottom we got probably an inch to the radiator. Across the top there's a couple of inches there, which this original one, I've got to take these brackets off. These are the original mounts for the bucket, like the radiator bucket, because it didn't mount directly to the vehicle. It sat in a cage and then it bolted in. So they've got to come off. But yeah, we're actually pretty good on clearances. Don't even have to move the bonnet cable. It seems to fit in there. So I'll pull the headlights out and see how we go. I don't know if I have a hole saw big enough actually. While we're waiting on various parts and pieces to arrive for different systems throughout the car, I'm going to make a start in the front. I've got some long arms to go in. I've got shocks to get revalved, and a few other fancy bits to go in here, like some alloy bits and pieces. And yeah, just generally tidy up all the systems that were half done for the last 2 years. Alright, let's make a start. Well, there's enough clearance there. It's not by much, but there's clearance, but I think those wheels are too far up in the wheel arch. Got about an inch of shock shaft showing.
Yep.
That's about right. Yeah. Alright, suspension is at full bump on both sides. This side's running on an extended bump stop, but we do have some clearancing issues. The sump clears, the steering clears, it is extremely close. Yeah, the other problem, the tail shaft's extremely close. There is very little clearance for an exhaust, but we may have to oval that and make it work. Yeah, but then I'm also thinking I didn't add enough on top of the diff center, on the diff tube for the bump stop pad, as this whole diff was set up for a 300 TDI vehicle, so it was designed for extreme amount of up travel, not necessarily huge amount of down travel, but yeah, a lot of up travel. So yeah, I'll keep working with it. I'll show you the other side. The other side, we are on a modified bump stop I made on the diff pad. Now I'm thinking I will have to come off the diff here and make a pad. That would allow me to drop my strut towers by 1 inch too, and run the airbox in the engine bay better. Space is obviously very tight, like the diff lock line is hitting the chassis there, so that'll have to get tidied up and moved. We've got very little clearance along the caster arms, but caster arms are getting changed. And yeah, the steering does clear. It does clear, it's very close, but it all does fit. Packaging wise, we are very tight on the old packaging wise. As you can see, the diff clears the engine mount there. If you can see, got heaps of clearance there. It's just, yeah, the center, we're probably a 1/4 of an inch, 6 mil off the sump. So yeah, we need to come up with a solution for this, whether that be hydro bumps and then it's adjustable, or something else. I think our steering just clears as well because the diff is pushed forward slightly. Yeah, so I'll keep working on it and see how we go. These are Bud's custom front long arms. They are huge and heavy, but they do increase it over a stock patrol. About 7 inches, I believe. Something of that variety. Alright, well there's my first problem. Stock Rover mount. Long arm. Before I even get it in position, we are hitting the mount. So yeah, I'm gonna have to create something there too. Well, there we have it. That is the Bud's custom long arm, just sitting in there currently. Yeah, gonna leave the video there, as I need to now work out what I have for the chassis end and cut off a lot of my stock mount and work from there. But that gives you just an idea of how much longer they are. Between 6 and 7 inches longer on a Rover, as the Rover front end is a little bit longer than a Patrol, but not by much. But yeah, it's just coming along. I'm quite happy with the progress. G'day guys, thanks for watching Declan's Shed. This episode was a bit more difficult as I'm waiting on a lot of parts, so it makes it hard to make it one episode of just about one thing. But thanks for sticking around. All feedback is much appreciated. And remember, life's too short to drive boring cars.